What's up, everybody? We are back once again. Now, it's just me. Brett, unfortunately, had to work this holiday weekend. His schedule was very conflicting, so I'm going to get this recording out to you guys, hopefully before the Saturday games begin, as long as the processing doesn't take forever. So, just to recap, last week we split our different picks, went 4, 11, and 1 total, because there was another push. Of course, there was. So as it stands, I am 92, 122, and 8. Brett is 93, 121, and 8. Um, it is not looking good. It does not look like we're going to finish the season uh, above, uh, above 500 because I'm about 30 away, which means I need to average. Uh, I pretty much need to go 13-3 every week to get back to 500. Um, Brett would need to go 13-3 2 weeks, and 12 and 11-5 1 week to get back to 500. But it's not looking great. We've had a rough go this season. This season's just been crazy. But we're gonna finish it out, and we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do for the playoffs as well. Playoffs, last year it was a little weird the way we did it. Don't know what we're gonna do this year. Let us know if you guys have any ideas or suggestions for how we handle the playoffs this year. But let's get into this week. So, real quick, on Thursday we both picked Jacksonville to beat the Jets. We got that, or we picked Jacksonville with the spread to beat the Jets, and Jacksonville did win entirely. So we got one right. We're 1-0 this week. Fuck yeah. Um, so um, 1-0 this week. Oh well. Um, as it stands, then these picks should go up by one, I believe, because it's an even number of games for the rest of the year. So yeah. So I am 93, 122. Brett is 94, 121. Sorry, normally I update those before, but I forgot this time. So, real quick, let's address it. In the AFC, Houston, Denver already eliminated. Indianapolis officially joins the group of eliminated. NFC wise, Chicago, Arizona, and the Rams all officially eliminated from playoff contention. That does, in fact, mean our Super Bowl champions will not even make the playoffs this year. With 3 weeks to go, they are eliminated. All right, here we go. Picks for the week. Atlanta at Baltimore. Baltimore minus 6.5. I am surprised that the spread is this big. Um, Brett is taking Baltimore. I was shaky on this one just because Baltimore doesn't have Lamar, but Atlanta is also unreliable. I'm going to take Baltimore here. I think they're the better team. Huntley's not bad. Um, they're at home. There's a lot of variables. Atlanta being a bad team is the big one, though. We're both going to take Baltimore here. Moving on, we have Detroit at Carolina. Carolina 2.5 point underdog at home. Not enough. Brett and I are both going to take Detroit here. Detroit is making a push for the playoffs. As it stands, Detroit is 500 with 3 weeks to go, and there's a good chance they finish this season with a winning record, which would be crazy to think about because at the beginning of the year, we thought they were going to be real bad. Everybody did, but they've been hot. So we're going to take Detroit here. Seattle at Kansas City. Seattle getting 10 is a lot. And because of the 10, Brett and I are going to take Seattle. I think Kansas City wins this game, although Kansas City been a little struggly. Seattle been more struggly lately. It's just a safer pick to pick Seattle getting 10 points. There's a very good chance Kansas City does blow them out of the water, but you just never know with either of these teams. Last week, Kansas City went into overtime with Houston. You just don't know. Um, but we're going to take Seattle here. Plus 10, although we think Kansas City probably wins. New Orleans at Cleveland. Cleveland 3 point favorites. I think that's enough. Cleveland's the better team on paper. New Orleans is shaky. They won last week, but so did Cleveland. It's just both of these teams aren't great. Neither of them are complete garbage, but neither of them are ready to carry a team into, let alone deep into a playoff stint. Um, but both fighting to keep their hopes alive. I mean, New Orleans is only one game out of the, you know, AFC or I'm sorry, NFC South lead because of how struggling that division is. As a matter of fact, Carolina, New Orleans, and Atlanta are all only one game out of the lead, and with with how shaky Tampa's been, who knows? But we're gonna take Carolina or not Carolina, Cleveland here. It's just the smarter pick. Houston at Tennessee. Wow, I'm really struggling today. My apologies, guys. Tennessee 3-point favorites at home. Tennessee's been shaky. They've lost 4 in a row. This could be a good time for them to get back on track, especially against a division rival and a Houston team that's lost 9 in a row. But that Houston team's also leading with 2 minutes to go against the Cowboys 2 weeks ago and took the Chiefs to overtime last week. The Titans have fallen apart. We're going to take Houston here. It's crazy to think about, but Houston's kind of gotten their shit together a little bit, and Tennessee's fallen apart a little bit. There's a good chance that Tennessee loses this division. Not to Houston, obviously, but to Jacksonville. We're going to take Houston here to give Jacksonville a much needed assist to tie them up for leading the division. We'll move on to Cincinnati at New England. New England +3 at home. Not enough. Both Brett and I are both going to take Cincy here. It's just not. It's not enough. Cincy is one of the best teams in the league right now. They're on the second highest win streak in the league right now. They're just that good. And New England's not. We're going to move on to the Giants at the Vikings. The Vikings -4. We can see this going either way. The Giants won last week, but they won against Washington, who are relatively on par with them. Minnesota looked bad in the first quarter or in the first half of last week against Indianapolis, but in the second half they looked great. And if they can keep that momentum up, they could be a problem. Minnesota is one of the fakest division leaders right now, though. Looking at all the division leaders, Tennessee kind of shaky, but they are in a bad division. Minnesota is leading in a division that has good teams. They're unknown. Brett is going to take the Giants here. I'm going to take the Vikings here. I think the second half effort of the Vikings last week will carry over to this against a struggling Giants team. But who knows? Maybe I'm completely wrong. But I'm going to take Minnesota here. Brett's taking the Giants. Moving on, Buffalo at Chicago. Chicago +8 at home. Not enough. Buffalo is that good. Chicago is that bad. Chicago, the only team in the NFC North that didn't have a player selected for the Pro Bowl, and there is a reason for that. That's all I have to say. So we're both taking Buffalo here. Washington at San Francisco. San Francisco -6.5 at home. San Francisco is the only team better than Cincinnati right now with when it comes to consecutive wins at 7. And they are doing that with the third string quarterback. They are doing that with the 256th overall draft pick this year. A rookie, Mr. Irrelevant, is on a 2-game win streak, undefeated, with a team that's been playing high caliber football. And they're going to continue to do that, especially against a struggling Washington. With bad schematic matchups, Brett and I are going to both take San Francisco here. It just feels like the smarter, safer bet for both of us to take San Fran. Philly at Dallas. Dallas -4.5 at home. Now, I know a lot of you might be thinking, wait a minute, Dallas is the favorite here? Yes, Dallas is the favorite here. It is in Dallas, and Jalen Hurts is out with a shoulder injury. And is potentially going to miss next week as well. I don't know how bad his shoulder injury is. I hope he gets better soon, even though he is a division rival of mine, and I don't want the Eagles to win. I do not want Jalen Hurts to be hurt. He is a fantastic player. But Without Hurts, Gardner Minshew is their starter. I think Dallas's defense will be able to pick apart Gardner Minshew much more than they would be able to do so to a Jalen Hurts. That being said, even if it was Hurts, Philly has been struggling a little bit lately. They've been winning, but they've been doing it a little sloppy against not great teams. And I mean, granted, Dallas hasn't been getting great looking wins, and they lost last week to Jacksonville. So Dallas clearly doesn't, have room to talk. I'm not a Dallas hype man. I'm just realistic. Backup quarterback, Dallas probably takes advantage. Brett and I will both take Dallas here. The Raiders at the Steelers. Steelers -2 at home. Not enough. The Steelers are shaky. I mean, don't get me wrong, so is Vegas. Neither of them are necessarily good. Hell, neither of them are good, not necessarily. Just good. They're not. The Raiders are just less bad on paper. And this is one of those games that could go either way. So we're both going to take Vegas here. Green Bay at Miami. Green Bay getting 3.5 points. Brett and I are both going to take Green Bay here. Green Bay's on a 2-game win streak. Looking a little bit better than they used to be. Miami on a 3-game lose streak, kind of struggling to find their footing. This is a good game for Green Bay to win and kind of keep their playoff hopes a little alive. They lose here, they're out. It's insurmountable at that point, I would assume. Not statistically, but realistically. They win here, though, they could very much be alive in a world where they're currently just looking at the records. There's your 7, 8, 9, they're 10th. But if, they get a win here and like we're anticipating, Washington takes a loss and Seattle probably takes a loss, that puts them in a tied boat with Seattle and half a game behind Washington. It's totally possible. So Green Bay getting a win here keeps their playoff hopes alive. Taking a loss here all but ends it for them. We're going to both take Green Bay, though. We think they're finding their footing, whereas Miami is not. Denver at the Rams. Denver is a bad football team. The Rams are a hurt football team. But the Rams with Baker Mayfield feel slightly more trustworthy than the Broncos with, I think it's Trevor Siemian right now. I'm not even sure. It just feels safer to take the Rams getting points. So that's what we're going to do. Moving on, we have the Buccaneers at the Cardinals. Cardinals getting 7.5 at home. Not enough. The Cardinals are super hurt. They don't have a quarterback because Colt McCoy went down last week after Kyler Murray went out 2 weeks ago. They're not ready to play football, and Tampa Bay has Tom Brady, who hasn't looked great this year, but is still Tom Brady. Give us both Tampa. Moving on. And finally, in the last game of the week on this Christmas weekend of football, we have the Los Angeles Chargers heading into the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts getting +4. Brett has elected to take the Colts +4. I am going to take the Chargers. I think the Chargers are slightly more reliable. Indy kind of blew a huge lead because they just did. Indy wasn't in the lead because they were great. They had some interesting defensive touchdowns and special teams touchdowns that I don't think they're really going to get on the Chargers. And the Chargers offense will be productive from the beginning, unlike my Minnesota's last week. I'm going to take the Chargers. Brett is taking the Colts. That leaves us with 2 picks separate from one another, being the Minnesota Giants game and the Chargers-Colts game. But let us know what you guys think. That is going to do it for this one. We hope you all have a very happy holidays. Enjoy your Christmas with your families if you are spending it with them. And with all that being said, as always, I'm Daniel. We are Beyond Us. And when in doubt, we'll see you next time. See you guys.